We are going to talk about how to solve frame and arrow problems. Now, with every frame and arrow problem, you'll see a box at the top that looks like this. Now, this box will sometimes have a rule in it, and sometimes it won't. In this case, there's a rule, and the rule says +3. You'll see this little arrow here that tells you that every time you see a red arrow like that, then you need to add 3. So this will help us to fill in our frames. So our first frame here has a 15, and then we see the red arrow. Now we know every time we see a red arrow we need to add 3. To remind yourself, one suggestion is to put +3 whenever you see these red arrows. So let's see, 15 plus 3 will help us to solve our next box. So 15 plus 3 is 18. So that'll fill that in. Now we see another red arrow, so we want to add 3. 18 plus 3 is 21. Now we have another red arrow, that means add 3. So 21 plus 3 is 24. And there we go, we filled in our frames and arrows. Now this problem says that every time you see a red arrow, you want to subtract 5. That's the rule there. Now you might notice that the first frame isn't filled in, but that's okay. We can fill that in on our own. So every time you see the red arrow going in this direction, you need to subtract 5. So remember, we can put our little reminders on our arrows to help us. So 20 minus 5 is 15. So we'll put 15 in this one. Now it gets a little bit tricky when we're trying to figure out the one before 20. So let's use our math skills. Something minus 5 will give you 20. The other way you could think about it is in the reverse. So 20 plus 5 will give us our answer. So 20 plus 5 is 25. Let's make sure it makes sense. So 25 minus 5 is 20. That's right, good. Okay, let's do the same thing with this one. Something minus 5 will give us 25. Or we could think about it in the reverse. 25 plus 5 will give us our number. So 25 plus 5 is 30. Let's make sure it works. 35 minus 5 is 25. 25 minus 5 is 20. And 20 minus 5 is 15. We did it. We filled in all of our frames and arrows. Now, in this problem, you'll see that some of our frames are filled in, but we don't have a rule yet. We are trying to figure out what the rule is when we see one of these red arrows. So let's see, we have a red arrow right here, and we know that what's changed is our number has gone from 500 to 600. What do we know that could change our number from 500 to 600? Well, we know that the number is getting larger, so we're probably going to be adding or multiplying, but it makes sense that we would add here. So let's think, what can we add to get from 500 to 600? Right, 100 adds up to that. So 500 plus 100 will give us 600. So our rule is going to be plus 100 every time we see that red arrow. All right, so now we have to use our strategy of kind of working backwards. So we know that something plus 100 will give us 500. We can also work in the reverse and think about 500 minus what? 500 minus 100 will give us what? That's right, 400. Okay, same here. What plus 100 will give us 400, or 400 minus 100 will give us our answer, which is 300. Now let's check our work to make sure we're right. So 300 plus 100 is 400, that's right. 400 plus 100 is 500, that's right. And 500 plus 100 is 600. That's correct.